If you want to make it to the end game in Destiny Rising, spending your Pinnacle energy wisely is so important, because if you don't, you're going to slow yourself down massively. I'm talking days or weeks worth of wasted effort. So here's a little bit of a guide on where you should be spending your Pinnacle energy to ensure you can reach the end game without too many slowdowns. The number one most important place to spend your Pinnacle energy is actually shifting gates, in my opinion. And the reason for that is you get this, translation credits, which can be used in the Shifting Gates exchange store, where you'll get a lot of very important resources that you are going to definitely need to progress your accounts or your character's power. Firstly, you're going to get sheaths. These are needed to improve your relic power to the highest level. This particular bundle here is a 5-stack of whatever element you want. Now, you may be wondering, is it worth going for this or going for Legacy, right? Legacy is another place where you can get the same reward. But here's a little bit of a sneaky trick, I suppose. Spending 20 Pinnacle energy in Legacy will indeed get you 7 of the element that you're going for and 2 to 4 random other ones. So in total, at max, if you're lucky, you're talking like 11, but you may get some that you don't really need. Truth be told, you're getting 7 of the one that you need for 20 Pinnacle energy. Compare that with Shifting Gates. You can get 25 of this for 20 Pinnacle. In the exchange shop, that equals to 15 of whichever one you want. So for 20 Pinnacle energy, you're getting 15 sheaths. So it's essentially more than double what you're you're guaranteed more than double of the sheath that you're aiming for by spending it on the Shifting Gate store. Now, this does have a weekly limit. It's 8, which is 8 times 5, so 40 here. So definitely focus on that first. But it doesn't even end there for Shifting Gates. You can also get Mythic Infusion Core chests, Weapon Luminite Choice chests, both of which are going to be crucial for leveling up your weapons. You can also get Elemental Fruit Choice chests, which are crucial once again for your relic level, and also Artifact Gilding, and Upgrade Cores, which are crucial for upgrading Mythic weapons as well. Now, this is where you're going to want to max out your stuff pretty much for the, get all of the weekly rewards here first with your Pinnacle energy, you know, and it may get to the point where you no longer need some of the mythic materials to raise the gear level. And at that point, then sure, you can sort of phase out Shifting Gates unless you're still needing the sheaths for your relic abilities, right? But that's a great starting place where you can get a lot of resources for essentially pretty cheap when considering the Pinnacle energy costs versus other places. The number 2 most important place to spend your Pinnacle energy is Singularity Chaos. And the reason for that is, firstly, you're going to get more fruits. There's a limit to how much you can get from other sources, right? Weekly limits in Shifting Gates, for example. But also, you're going to need this a lot. The Artifactual Essence is essentially your only way to further upgrade your artifacts to their full potential, to squeeze out enough power rating from them. And you're really going to need to squeeze out that extra power. Once you get to the point where I am, it's going to cost a lot of this just to squeeze out a little bit more power rating when you do Artifact Refactor. So getting this is really important, and it is going to be quite costly. I would honestly suggest over time, maybe doing just keep in mind that this is only 10 Pinnacle energy for 2, and you're going to need about 24 to guarantee an upgrade on a late game exotic artifact. That's a lot. That is very costly. So we're talking 120 Pinnacle energy to guarantee an upgrade. Honestly, I would definitely prioritize other important things first. For example, definitely max out your relic abilities, max out your weapon ability, weapon levels first, and then you can consider putting Pinnacle energy into getting these artifact upgrade materials, right? You do need this, but it's very Pinnacle costly. So wait until you've done the other stuff, namely shifting gates first, and you've upgraded your character in every means possible before you really go in on getting the artifactual essence. You do need it, but like I say, very Pinnacle costly. The next place where you need to be spending your time, but not necessarily your Pinnacle energy, is Calamity Ops. When you play in Calamity Ops, every 2 weeks, you're going to be able to get a guaranteed 100 Lumia Leaves, but more importantly, an incandescent cluster. These are very important for weapon mastery and high-level relic levels. And like I say, every 2 weeks, you can guarantee it. You just play. So cumulative score essentially means how many rounds you play. It will tally up your score. So even if you don't proceed to the next rank, you will still guarantee yourself this every 2 weeks. And that's very, very important. And you should be aiming to try to reach the highest rank you possibly can with whatever power you have, right? You need a certain amount of points in a specific run to progress to the next tier. This does not cost Pinnacle energy to take part in, so it can be a great way to, every 2 weeks, once again, get extra exotic weapon infusion cores, and more importantly, these incandescence clusters. You're going to need a lot of these to fully max out your character. So always put your efforts in. I believe every day you get 6 attempts, so make sure you're making the most out of these. But if you've reached a power cap, for example, right now I need 390,000 to raise my rank. There's no point wasting your time if you literally can't do it because you're not powerful enough. But make sure that you're at least getting this cumulative score done, and you are trying to push to higher ranks because it will increase the rewards you get quite massively for ranking up here. You're going to need those resources. Now, as for actually spending Pinnacle energy here, I'm not opposed to it because you can still get upgrade cores, you can get mythic infusion cores, and you can get Luminite, right? And you can also get a chance at exotic mods. It is only a 12% chance, but I do honestly believe this is not a bad place to spend Pinnacle if you specifically need these resources. Shifting gates is still the #1 choice, but once you've used up your weekly purchases in the Shifting Gate store, this is an alternative place to get other weapon materials and a chance of exotic mods, which certainly will be needed, and that will be a bottleneck for your account if you don't have the right exotic mods. It's not necessarily just about getting exotic mods for your weapons, but also exotic mods that have the right perk. Let me take an example here. My base shotgun, my mythic shotgun here, has a base power of 4,650, right? Because I don't have any exotic mods that have rolled a trait that match the traits on my shotgun. Whereas on my wolf mythic weapon, I have a little bit more base power. It's 4,810 because my exotic mod here rolled a trait that is activated because I have the, for example, I have the Fraternity perk, and this exotic mod rolled the Fraternity perk. That means I get an extra base power rating here. If you get 3 exotic mods that all roll traits that are active and match the traits you have on your weapon, that is going to be a significant boost in power. So it's not just getting 3 exotic mods. It's getting 3 exotic mods that roll into the perk that you need. That is going to take a lot of grinding, and besides doing your, your keys, your frontline keys, which you can only get 6 per week, playing Calamity Ops isn't necessarily a bad idea to try and get them, and you are getting the weapon materials there as well. The next place to spend your Pinnacle that is really quite important is Morgren's Prey. You're going to need to get your hands on these weapon mod materials, and also, you are going to need to get your hands on mod fragments as well to fully upgrade your weapon mods. So both of these can be selected as a wishlist option from Morgren's Prey. This is definitely a worthwhile place spending your Pinnacle energy, and you're definitely going to need to do that to fully upgrade your mods. You can break down other exotic mods late game, but you don't get much for it, honestly. So I would recommend spending time in Morgren's Prey instead. And then we have Master Activities. Now, Master Activities do have a Similar chance to get quite the same stuff as Calamity Ops. So once again, this is not a bad place to spend your Pinnacle energy if you need this stuff here and you need a chance of getting exotic mods. Like if you're absolutely hard locked on your account and the only way to improve your power is to roll exotic mods, then you may as well put your Pinnacle energy into it if there's nowhere else for you to use it that I've explained in the video thus far. Now, the challenge rewards. I'm very curious about this because we've got Grandmaster activities going live tomorrow. This might change things massively. Hopefully, this will get access to better rewards here, and it may be even more worth taking part in Grandmaster activities instead of Master activities. We'll have to wait and see on that one. I also think Legendary Campaign is an important place to put your Pinnacle energy, but this is if you specifically need to fully upgrade your exotic weapons. If you can squeeze out other power from other places first, I think we should wait to put a lot of Pinnacle energy into Legendary Campaign. And the reason for this is these superposed photons. There is a 1.5% chance of getting your hand on these for 20 Pinnacle energy. That is a very low chance. You know, in comparison, exotic artifacts have a 2.44% chance, and they require no Pinnacle energy whatsoever to get those odds, right? So I think this is extremely hard to get your hands on, and I'm hoping the developers will have other ways for us to get these materials for in the future. We're talking, you know, the game still hasn't had all of its systems and modes released yet. So that's my hope. Could be wrong, but you are going to need 2 of these to get this next Catalyst Band upgrade. 1 to get this Catalyst level here, another 2 for this Catalyst level, and another 2 for this Catalyst level. So to fully upgrade an exotic weapon, you're going to need a lot of this and a lot of superposed photons. And this is going to be a long-term grind. So don't waste all of your Pinnacle energy just trying to get the off chance of getting this right now if there are other places to spend your energy first. If you've already maxed out everything on your characters, then sure, go for it because you need to grind this anyway. And Legendary Campaign does give 4 per 20 Pinnacle. But this 1.5% chance is atrocious and you're going to have to run it a lot. In fact, here's some fun stats for you. If you run this 100 times, so we're talking 2,000 Pinnacle energy, the probability of you getting one of these will be about 78%. It's still, there's a chance that you could run it 100 times and not even get a single one. Now, if you run it 300 times, then the probability is about 98.9%. So you're very likely to get one after running it 300 times. Now, granted, there'll be some cases of where you could get luckier before, and, you know, that's great. But probability-wise, the majority of us are going to get our hands on this between 100 and 300 runs, which is crazy amounts of Pinnacle. We're talking about 10 to 30 days of playing to get one of these. So let's hope there's another way to get these by playing the game. Of course, there is the black market as well, which we do need to point out. It does have superposed photons there for 20,000 black market coins, which is actually a reasonable price for them, considering you're playing 15,000 for 10 Ascension cells, which are fairly easy to get your hands on. Looking at these costs, it makes me believe that there will be more ways to get superposed photons, right? Exotic weapon parameters times 5. 18,000 when you can get those every week very easily just from completing bounties. And then this is only 20,000. Something tells me we just need to wait a little bit longer and there'll be ways to get this that are a little bit easier. So don't go and blow all your Pinnacle energy on this just yet. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, please consider subscribing for more Destiny Rising content, and I'll see you all in the comments. Cheerio.